anybody ever drink or do drugs so much that you become physically sick from doing it? Maybe you're throwing up. I remember walking into a bar, drinking, and I left with my buddy Schmitty. We were walking back to the dormitories, and I started projectile vomiting. And my thought was, maybe I'm throwing up because of the chicken I ate. It is so crazy that I never pinpoint drugs and I never blame drugs and alcohol. I know I got a DUI, and I thought to myself, the cop that arrested me didn't like me, and I also thought maybe I should take a different way home. There is no part of me that looks at like, well, you're drinking and driving, or the amounts you're putting in your body are causing you to throw up. I'm so oblivious to it, and I refuse to look at drugs and alcohol as the problem. I know when I was in college, I was started to struggle with classes, and I started to think, the class got harder, the teacher didn't like me. I could not pinpoint, maybe it's because I'm out late partying. Like, I just cannot see that. So there's a period where, like, I just can't identify that I have a problem and it's drugs and alcohol. And then once I do identify it, it takes me an even stretch of time until I have the courage and the strength to kind of do something about it. So I think one of the ways to really help individuals decipher if they do or don't is to show people the other side of the coin. And so if you watch ordinary people, you could do it this weekend, just watch an ordinary person drink. If they do drink, which is crazy because there's a boatload of people who just don't do it. If they do, they just seem to have a couple and then they say the most outlandish thing. They're like, I think I've had enough. And I'm like, what? And they're like, I'm good. I don't want any more. I've never said that in my life. I'm out and somebody comes up to me and they go, would you care for another? Not once in my life have I ever said, yeah, I'm good. I picture people, your crack dealer comes to you and he's like, would you care for another one? And you're like, I think I'm good. I've never said that with regards to alcohol and drugs before. And if you talk to people who don't have substance use disorder or alcohol use disorders, you'll catch something different with them too. You could ask somebody, you ever drink the amount needed to physically get sick? And there's people that'll tell you no, they've never thrown up from drinking. There's people that'll tell you they've maybe thrown up once or twice and they've never drank that amount again. I was throwing up almost every other day for the better part of 10 years, having no idea, that's not happening to most people. So it was very hard for me to identify it. I also talked to a few different people with regards to like, getting sick because of the amount of drugs I'm putting in my body. I also remember going to work and almost passing out while working and at other times falling asleep while working, and people would ask me like, is everything okay? And I would tell them I'm just tired and I didn't get enough sleep, and no part of me is looking at, yeah, because I was up till 3, 4, or 5, getting loaded. I cannot see it. I also seem to think that I'm better at life when I'm drinking or doing drugs. It's almost like it's more vibrant for me. And I come to find out, like, again, that doesn't really happen to the same degree with people who don't have a substance use disorder or an alcohol use disorder. I try to compare it to, it's almost like me without alcohol and drugs seems like I'm watching black and white TV. And then when I add it into the equation and I do drink or I do drugs, it's like color TV. Like life just seems more enjoyable. It seems more fun. It seems more just like interesting. And so when I first got sober, I remember thinking, man, life's going to be pretty bland and boring if I can't drink and do drugs. I had no idea that that had a lot to do with like dopamine levels and the things that I've exposed my brain to at the point of drinking and doing drugs. So I think one of the ways to help people understand, if maybe you do or you don't have a problem is, you know, talk to ordinary people and see how they do it, and it'll become abundantly clear. If you do have a problem, you don't do it the same way. I think it's really difficult for binge drinkers to see they have a problem because they do it on a Friday and they stop on a Sunday. And again, they never look at the quantities they're doing on Friday through Sunday. So a few ways to pinpoint it would be just looking at the quantities you're doing. Did the doses go up over time? Another reason it's difficult for people is because of the circumstances of their life. They have a job, they pay their bills, and their life's pretty well put together. So it's hard to pinpoint you have a problem until you start experiencing consequences. I think you could get to it sooner if you could get people to understand the way they're doing it isn't like most people. And I think the quicker you can realize that, the more it'll probably help you identify it. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Bye.